sound of Ellie's laughter echoed through the small, cozy apartment as Clara stirred a pot of soup on the stove. Being a single mother was never something she had planned, but 5 years ago, after a reckless night and too many drinks, Ellie had entered her life. Despite the unexpected turn, Clara couldn't imagine life without her daughter. However, balancing work and parenting was a daily struggle, especially after her father's passing, which left her without the family support she'd relied on. After weeks of fruitless interviews, Clara was on the verge of giving up her search for a full-time nanny. No one seemed to fit the role. Some were too stiff, others too unreliable, and a few simply didn't connect with Ellie. Her colleague, Megan, suggested one last candidate, a woman named Marcy. Reluctantly, Clara agreed to meet her. When Marcy arrived for the interview, Clara was taken aback. Marcy had a warm, approachable demeanor, her smile lighting up the room as she introduced herself. She knelt to Ellie's level, engaging her with genuine curiosity.
Hi, Ellie.
"Do you like stories?" Marcy asked, pulling out a small book from her bag. Ellie's eyes lit up as she nodded, and within minutes, Ellie was giggling at one of Marcy's silly voices while reading. Clara felt an unfamiliar flutter in her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. Marcy's warmth was infectious, and Clara couldn't help but smile as she watched the two bond effortlessly. Marcy's references were glowing, and her ability to connect with Ellie was undeniable. Within days, she moved in, transforming their apartment into a lively, happy home. Marcy was not only wonderful with Ellie, but also had a knack for cooking, organizing, and making Clara laugh. Clara found herself lingering in the kitchen more often, savoring the sound of Marcy's humming as she cooked or the sight of her laughing with Ellie over some shared joke. Their connection deepened over shared late-night talks. One evening, after Ellie had gone to bed, they sat on the couch with glasses of wine. "You've made this place feel like a real home again," Clara admitted, her voice soft. Marcy looked up, surprised. "That means a lot, Clara. You and Ellie, you've given me something I didn't know I needed." Their eyes lingered on each other, the unspoken tension growing. When their hands brushed as they reached for the wine bottle, Clara's breath hitched, but neither woman pulled away. The moment hung between them, charged and fragile. A few weeks later, Marcy received devastating news. Her father had passed away from a heart attack. She needed to leave immediately to be with her family. The sudden absence left a void in Clara's life. The apartment felt quieter, lonelier without Marcy's laughter and warmth. Clara missed her presence deeply, realizing for the first time just how much Marcy had come to mean to her. Determined to support Marcy, Clara attended the funeral. After the somber service, they found themselves alone in a quiet corner of the hotel where Clara was staying. Marcy's face was pale, her eyes red from crying. "My mom doesn't understand me," she said, her voice breaking. "She thinks I've failed her because of who I am." Clara reached out, taking Marcy's hand. "You're not alone in this," she said softly. "You're brave, Marcy. Don't let anyone make you feel less for being yourself." Their eyes met, and Clara's heart pounded as she leaned closer. Marcy's breath caught, and in the next moment, their lips met. The kiss was tentative at first, exploring, as if testing uncharted waters. Then it deepened, filled with the emotions they had both been holding back for so long. Marcy's hands tangled in Clara's hair, pulling her closer, as if afraid to let go. Clara responded in kind, her arms encircling Marcy's waist, grounding her. They moved to the bed, where their kisses turned more fervent, hands roaming, exploring each other with a mixture of urgency and tenderness. Clara paused, her eyes searching Marcy's for confirmation. Marcy nodded, a soft smile breaking through her tears. "I want this," she whispered. Their intimacy became a shared language, an expression of comfort and desire. They undressed slowly, reverently, as if shedding not just their clothes, but the burdens they'd carried. Skin met skin, and their breaths mingled in the dim light of the room. Each touch was a promise, each kiss a declaration. By the time they lay entwined, their grief had transformed into something hopeful and healing. As the night stretched on, They talked quietly, their hands never letting go of each other. "I've been so scared to feel this way again," Clara admitted, brushing a strand of hair from Marcy's face. Marcy smiled, her fingers tracing circles on Clara's arm. "Me too. But with you, it feels right." The night became a turning point, a quiet affirmation of their growing love, and a step toward the life they were beginning to build together. After returning home, their relationship began to blossom. Mornings became their favorite part of the day, starting with shared cups of coffee in the quiet of the kitchen. Ellie would often climb onto Marcy's lap, chattering about her dreams or what she wanted to do that day. Clara would watch them with a soft smile, feeling her heart swell with a love she hadn't thought possible. Weekends turned into mini adventures. They'd take Ellie to the park, bake cookies together, or curl up on the couch for movie nights. Clara and Marcy would steal moments for themselves, a lingering touch while washing dishes, a soft kiss as they passed each other in the hallway, or quiet conversations late into the night. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the city lights, Marcy turned to Clara. "I've never felt so at home," she said softly. Clara reached out, lacing their fingers together. "You've made this house a home, Marcy. For Ellie and for me." Their love deepened with every passing day. They began to navigate the complexities of blending their lives, from balancing work and parenting to finding time for each other. They faced challenges together, leaning on each other's strengths and offering comfort in moments of doubt. Their nights often ended in intimacy, their connection growing stronger with every touch and whispered word. In those moments, they found solace and joy, their love a sanctuary from the world outside. Their life together wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and they cherished every moment of it. As Thanksgiving approached, Clara suggested they visit Marcy's family. Marcy hesitated, the weight of past conflicts making her uneasy. "What if it goes badly again?" she asked one evening as they cuddled on the couch. Clara kissed her forehead. "Then we'll face it together. You're not alone in this anymore." Marcy sighed, her heart warming at Clara's unwavering support. "Okay, let's do it." The day of Thanksgiving was chilly, with crisp autumn air biting at their cheeks as they arrived at Marcy's childhood home. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Her mother greeted them with a tight smile, her disapproval thinly veiled. Dinner started uneventfully until the conversation shifted. "I just don't understand why you can't be normal," Marcy's mother said, her tone icy as she looked pointedly at her daughter. The clatter of silverware ceased, the air thick with discomfort. Marcy's face flushed, her hands trembling slightly. Before she could respond, her brother spoke up, his voice firm. "If Marcy isn't welcome here, then neither am I." Her sister chimed in, crossing her arms. "Same here, Mom. Marcy deserves our love and support, just like anyone else." Marcy's eyes filled with tears, her voice shaking as she said, "Thank you, guys. That means so much to me." Clara, seated beside her, reached under the table and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We're all here because we love you," Clara whispered. For the first time, Marcy's mother seemed to falter. Her gaze softened as she looked at her daughter, but she remained silent. The rest of the evening passed more peacefully, with Clara's warmth and the unwavering support of Marcy's siblings creating a buffer against lingering tension. To mend the rift, Clara and Marcy invited everyone to their home for Christmas. To their surprise, Marcy's mother accepted the invitation. The house was filled with warmth and laughter as the family gathered, but Clara noticed Marcy's mother watching them closely. During a quiet moment, Clara pulled her aside. "I want to give Marcy the family she deserves," Clara said, her voice steady. "I love her, and I'll provide her and Ellie with the same security and happiness any family would. Please stay and see how happy we make each other." Marcy's mother looked at her, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. I want her to be happy," she admitted quietly. Clara smiled.
"She is.
"And you're part of that happiness." By the end of the holiday, her stance softened, and she gave her tentative blessing. A year later, on a crisp winter evening, Clara planned a special surprise. She gathered their closest family and friends for a cozy celebration. As Marcy entered the room, Ellie and Marcy's mother stood holding a sign that read, "Marry me?" Clara knelt down, holding out a ring. "Marcy, you've brought so much love and joy into my life. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Marcy's face as she nodded. "Yes, 1,000 times yes," she said, her voice trembling. Clara slipped the ring onto her finger, and they embraced, surrounded by cheers and applause. Ellie hugged them both tightly, her giggles filling the room. Their journey had been far from easy, but surrounded by love and support, Clara and Marcy knew they were building a future filled with happiness and unwavering commitment.